Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to this week's question. Today's question comes from John, and it's in response to some comments I made a couple of weeks ago about toddlers being too old for bottles and pacifiers. And he says, "Okay, Dana, so I agree. It's time to get rid of my daughter's pacifier. She's 2.5 and uses it for nap and at bedtime. She often sleeps through the night, but on occasion I have to go in and find it for her. She asks for it a lot throughout the day, and up until now we've been giving in, but it seems like she's wanting it more these days instead of less. How do I wean her off of the Soother?" Well, good question. And in my opinion, there's really no easy way to wean off of a Soother. I think that even if you put restrictions on it or said, only in the morning for 10 minutes or whatever you made your rules, I think what you might even do is increase her sort of obsession with the Soother or her attachment to it. When you start restricting things, that can sometimes make people want them even more. And I've seen on television or I've read about, setting up scenarios where you tell her the Soother fairy is going to come tonight and take away all the Soothers and leave her a present instead, or other options of asking her to agree to give up her Soother in replace of something. And I guess my problem with those sorts of strategies are, especially if you put the onus on her and say, are you willing to give up your Soother and replace it for a new doll or a bike or whatever the case may be? Most toddlers will agree with you at the moment. I mean, they're not very good at thinking through to an actual consequence. It's like, do you want a piece of a chocolate now or the whole chocolate bar later? Most toddlers will say, I want the piece now. They just don't understand the idea of what the consequences might be. So, of course, she would agree at the time, and that all sounds wonderful. But when bedtime rolls around and you put her to bed without the pacifier, you're probably going to be faced with a lot of protest. And then I also worry that, did we demand too much from her? Now you can say, oh, well, remember that this afternoon you agreed? Well, that's a sticky spot to put your toddler in. Now it's her fault that she gave up her Soother, and I just don't want to put that sort of pressure on a child so small. And again, I really firmly believe that you are the parent. You make choices and decisions that you think are best for your children, and then you need to follow through with them. So why make it up? Why even make it up to her? You could sit down and have a discussion, depending on her age level. Something like, you've decided that it's time for her to say goodbye to her Soothers. Maybe a baby in your neighborhood that you could pack up all the Soothers and send them in the mail to the new baby, or she could have you, help her. Together you could go gather up all the Soothers and throw them away. I mean, you can definitely get your toddler involved in the process, but you are the boss. You make the decisions, and you've decided, not her, okay? And once they're gone, they need to be gone. There's no, don't even put them in a drawer somewhere. I would just throw them all away, and then the temptation is completely out of your hands and out of hers. And of course, there's going to be a couple of days where she's adjusting to getting to sleep without a pacifier, not having it throughout the day when she feels the need. And you'll have a rough couple of days, and there'll probably be some tears at bedtime, and she's changed her mind, and might try some tantrum-like behavior. But I find, honestly, that the idea of taking away a pacifier is much more frightening to the parent than it is to the child. As soon as I tell clients, okay, we're going to take away that pacifier, they cringe, or they look at each other, or they, give a nervous laugh, and they really have a lot of reservation about the idea, because they really think their child is so attached that it'll just be, a real episode if you take it away. And 9 times out of 10, it's a pretty mild experience. I mean, there might be some asking and to, I'd like my soother, or where's my soother? And to all of those things, you just say, it's gone. It's gone. There is no more soother. And it's surprising. Within a couple of days, it's completely forgotten. And your child can easily learn some new ways of getting to sleep. Now, if you want to just focusing solely on sleep, if you're teaching your toddler to sleep without a pacifier, and you think that might be too much of a jump to just go right from a pacifier to nothing, you could do the stay in the room method, where you put her in bed without the pacifier, and then you sit beside her for a couple of nights just to ease the transition, and then you move away for a couple of nights, sort of sitting in the middle of the room, and then you do a few nights at the door, and then you're totally out of the room altogether. That might, for some toddlers, make the transition a little smoother, and it won't be so bad. But for others, it just might involve a couple of questions and maybe a few demands, and within a night or two, it's completely gone. So that's my best advice, John. There is no easy way to wean. It's just sort of a cold turkey approach. No more soothers, they're gone. So thanks a lot for your question, and good luck, and sleep well.